Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. This is the daily astrology report for Friday, November 6, 2020. I hope everybody is doing as well as they can, and just know that there are lots of challenges still on the way. Mercury is direct in Libra now and is going to be in a square to Saturn in Capricorn, and there is this mental energy that we have access to because Mercury is conjunct Arcturus, and we are able to get this not only bird's eye view but up in the plane, soaring above the clouds, to get a really wide and transcendent perspective right now, and not naturally either. It is the result of our collective efforts that have gotten us to this point that we can see things from this position, right? It took a collective effort to build this aircraft and figure out how to fly up here. So, and Libra is about the collective experience. So mentally, and in terms of the information that we are engaging with, the way we are conceiving of reality, making sense of things, we are now in a position kind of above everything else and being able to see it for the fullness of the pattern. Much like the Nazca lines, if I can show you here a couple images, these are in Peru, and they are patterns that are very obviously meant to be seen from the sky, but it's my understanding, I don't know exactly when they were created, but they were created before there were airplanes. I know that much, yet these are clearly made for this perspective, and not for animals. They are for some other reason, for something to be able to see this from this perspective. And this one is my personal favorite. That's also one of the Nazca lines. Hello. So from this bird's eye view, beyond bird's eye view, from this airplane view, from this higher perspective that we've managed to get to, we are able to see quite a bit. But then we have Saturn in Capricorn, and it is very clear that as much as we mentally want to be able to see the top of the mountain and the shrine and the summit, if we want to get there, we still have to put one foot in front of the other and go up the path. And it's a path that has been tread by many generations before us, and their commitment is the reason there's even a path to get up there. But we still have to do our part and take the steps and exert the energy to go up to this shrine, whatever this represents, which is really just the pinnacle of our collective efforts, whatever this shrine is at the top of the mountain. So when the moon comes around to oppose Saturn, because she is in Cancer today, it is going to be beautiful but violent, a violent storm through a canyon, and specifically through a canyon that has got lots of expensive homes. Now, this is just a really cool picture, but it's not populated. But it will be likely an emotional catharsis that is also going to add to the frustration of being mentally above everything, but also having to deal with, Saturn is the judge, right? It is the wall of reality. It is the law itself. And so we're still going to have to stand in front of the judge, even and allowing for that process to unfold. We still have to walk up the steps to the shrine, even if we are able to astral project out and see it. In the meantime, there is this beautiful water trine that is between the moon, Neptune in Pisces, and the sun in Scorpio. So the sun actually is going to trine Neptune, which is still retrograde, on the 10th of November. And this I talked about in the full moon video, because this time frame of the 11/11 portal, whatever is going to happen, this is going to be a massive peak experience. And that particular trine, that aspect on the 10th is a major opening for a transmission. So this water trine is kind of leading up to it. It's if we can sanctify and commit to that relationship, which is really to the core of ourselves and who we're actually very loyal to. And not to say that we're only loyal to ourselves. We're talking about Cancer. So we're really showing our loyalty and our connection to that which sustains us and holds us and what is at the very core of ourselves. And so in this trine today between the moon and Neptune in Pisces, the master instructing the disciple, like the direct transmission of this sacred knowledge, this divine essence, right? This is direct communion with the divine, Neptune in Pisces. And specifically in this degree is a transmission of this experience from something that represents a guru. So this trine today really is going to give us, I think, the emotional depth and fortitude to move through the next week. And there's whatever we can do to sanctify it. I mean, marriage, the Sabian symbol is a priest performing a marriage ceremony. So the dweem within a dweem is something that we can aspire to on a personal level, like having some sort of intuitive connection or psychic link to what it is that we want to commit ourselves to, and who are we loyal to, what gives us a sense of strength and hope and confidence emotionally. And this specifically is about sanctifying it and ritualizing it. Where is Neptune? Well, is in Pisces, and specifically retrograde. And so we've talked a lot about, on this channel at least, the Hanged Man, and how surrendering to the flow, into the direct experience, the direct divine experience with Neptune is the best way to go. Otherwise, and knowing boundaries, again, that's important with Cancer as well. And so we'll have personal boundaries by sanctifying some relationship that nurtures and protects us, while at the same time we're going to get a direct experience from the Hanged Man. And when the sun comes, and the sun is in a trine as well to this position. So this is really setting up for when the sun is in direct trine to Neptune on the 10th. And this 1111 gateway is really powerful. And I feel like this is the geometric pattern for Metatron, Archangel Metatron, and this is coming in very strong with this connection, especially to where Neptune is right now. And if we are able to find a way to individually find a way to sanctify this connection, by the time the sun comes around to actually trine Neptune fully, it's still in this water trine, as you saw, but it's a couple degrees away. But when the sun comes exact to Neptune, if we've sanctified this connection in some way, right? If we've ritualized it, if we've committed to the container of a family or our ancestry, some aspect that we are committing to and that we are loyal to and is our home and family. When the sun comes around to meet Neptune on the 10th, this is going to be like a Metatron transmission, and this is preparing us each individually to energetically and psychically be able to hold it. And I think that this also will help with all of the oppositions with the Capricorn energy as the day goes on, but this also is connecting to next week. So if you remember in the movie Dogma, the Metatron was played by Alan Rickman, and is the voice of God. That is, Archangel Metatron is the voice of God. And if you really want to get if you want to really know, like, spiritually and religiously what might be actually happening right now, I would really recommend watching Dogma. It is probably by far one of the best characterizations of what is happening in terms of a spiritual and religious war and good versus evil, and the concept of God in a narrative that is similar to the path of Jesus, basically, but also really funny. You can't get it on any streaming services either because of some weird contract thing, but you can find it on YouTube. So I would recommend it because it really helps clear things up. But Metatron, the voice of God, I think when the sun and Neptune are in that trine, this is what we're going to get. We're going to have one of these moments where Metatron is just like in our presence, or we are getting the full essence of this experience. But we have to create a container for that. Now, if that container has structural integrity and the foundation is solid and our roots are strong, then as the moon goes through her transit and meets opposition with Jupiter and Pallas Athena and Pluto and Saturn, we will each individually feel confident as we face these challenges. And these challenges are substantial. We're talking about Capricorn. So first, we have the moon that is now in a position of waiting, right? There is this anticipation, waiting for the ship to come in, and waiting for that sailboat to arrive to take us across the ocean. And so there's a lot of different symbols at play here. It's very passive and receptive. We've made the decision with we've made a decision now, we've sanctified it, and we are waiting in anticipation. Well, in opposition to that is the very real Zeus, and not to mention Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategy, in the degree of accepting defeat gracefully. And as I talked about before, these are characters that are not going to admit defeat very easily at all, or very gracefully, especially if they do not think they have been defeated. So these two are together really posing a major challenge while the moon is in a very passive position. So it's always about finding the fulcrum, and we don't want to get completely passive, waiting for something to show up for us, but we also don't want to fall into the trap of being completely identified with this battle that is clearly happening. And there's a strategy to it, and there is a leadership that is dealing with this old guard. Now, as she comes to oppose Pluto as well, now we're getting a little bit more more confident. This is the literary society, critiquing what's going on. It's very insular. There are people around you that think and feel the same way you do. This is very meta, right? You are really on the leading edge of the society because there are people. You're just able to intuit things more because you are sharing ideas, and it's a very secure network, right? But also there is a lot of critique and intellectualization in this situation. And so again, when you are facing Pluto, which is the Lord of transformation and death right now, being in this really insular position of always in conversation and intellectualizing everything, and really having, taking a really critical look at what is the integrity of the system that you're part of, whereas Pluto at this point, as we've said many times before, is ready to call it, right? This is the Medal of Honor. This is receiving awards for bravery. It is a balancing of accounts, but it does specify that the issue is over, and that there is a recognition of a job well done, and that the community is acknowledging it. And the Pluto is transformation, major transformation, because something has to die. Something has to give way. Something has to be destroyed. And something is being destroyed. And right now, Pluto is the one handing out the medals. And it's over, right? That's what Pluto is saying. It's over. And so there's a lot of battle in general, and there's also a lot of critique right now. And it's about being confident enough to see the problems, to be able to have an intuitive sense of where the issues are in this structure, this social structure, but at the same time, finding the balance between Pluto. There's like, well, this is actually, instead of criticizing, let's honor everybody playing their part for the situation. You see how one is much more about the collective experience and the other is more about individual confidence enough to critique the system, right? So finding, again, a balance of that situation. Because like I said, when the moon then comes into that opposition to Saturn and is going to also be square to Mercury as well. It is the lightning storm, the violent storm in the canyon of expensive homes. And it's really a very cathartic moment emotionally. And, even though it will be likely a lot of emotional turmoil, it's always a good idea to reorient ourselves to what actually we value, what matters most to us, what we love. And with Venus in Libra, we can really gain a lot of perspective by how much work it actually takes to extract the truth from what is often buried under the surface. Coal mining is no joke, and before there were machines to do it, people had to do it, and this represents the Sabian symbol for where Libra is at, the extraction process to get what is valuable from what is embedded in the very earth herself. And it does take a lot of work and energy, so we can really honor that and remind ourselves of that when we are evaluating the world around us and how it feels. So that is the daily astrology for November 6th, 2020. Thank you for being here. If you're interested in a reading or connecting on social media, everything you need is in the description box below. If you like this content, consider subscribing, at least hitting the like button. It helps get the content out there. And I will see you all on the next video.